Good morning, boys and girls. So hopefully you watched that video on YouTube and it gave you kind of an idea of how it is that we read protractors. So this is actually the first question on the assignment, and I wanted to just go over it with you so you have another couple of examples that you can follow. So if you go look at number one, here we have an angle and it's pointing to the left. It's already set up so you don't have to worry about putting a protractor on an angle, but we definitely want to know how do we read it. So the first thing that we can notice is the size of that angle. So right away, you can tell because of the size of the angle that this is acute. So because it's acute, we know that it is going to be less than 90 degrees. We need to keep that in mind so that when we're looking at our numbers, which set do we look at? We've got these sets of numbers where 0 starts over here on the right, and we have these sets of numbers who start with 0 on the left. Obviously, this angle is on the left, so we're going to use the numbers on the left. And what I like to do is I tell my students is start at that 0 that's on the left and start counting up. So if I notice this is going from 0 to 10 and it stops. But if I'm really careful, I can kind of see right here, it's not exactly on this line for 10, it's slightly above. So really my answer is going to be 11 degrees. And then that makes sense because that matches my answer. 11 degrees is the measure for an acute angle. Okay, so now we're ready for number two, hopefully. Now, if you look at number two, definitely different from number one. In number one, we did have a left-facing angle, but it was acute. Now, if I look at this angle, I can see that it is a nice wide open angle, and we call those obtuse. So we know that an obtuse angle is going to be greater than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. So now I need to look at where does my angle start. Again, I have two sets of zeros. I have a 0 on the left and a 0 on the right. My angle is starting at the 0 here on the left. So I know that that is my starting point. From there, I want to count up until I get to pretty close to my other ray. So I'm going to use my pencil. I'm going to draw. So it's at 0, going up to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. There's 90. This is obtuse, so it's definitely greater than that, then 100 and 110. I'm going to stop there. Now, if I notice, look at where my ray is. It's not exactly on 110. So that means it's going to be a little more than 110, a lot less than 120, not even close to that. This halfway point here is going to be halfway between 110 and 120, which is 115, just right there. So I need to think of, well, what is the best estimate for where that is? Because I'm not going to get an exact number since I don't have markings there. So this is kind of where you get a little bit of wiggle room. And I would probably say maybe 111 degrees or even 112 degrees would be a fair estimate. And then again, you look at what type of angle this is. This is obtuse. And does this number fall within that range? Yes, it's greater than 90. It's less than 180. It's reasonable. So it's really important that we ask this question about what is reasonable and what isn't reasonable. Because a lot of times, hold on, I have to fix this here. Kids will look at this protractor and they'll say, okay, I see this ray and it's pointing at 70, so it's 71. Let's propose that I say that 71 degrees is the answer. I know that's not the answer because 71 degrees is not an obtuse angle. So you have to be careful. We do have two rows of numbers, one here and one here. You've got to pay attention to which row are you using. We cannot use both. It depends on where is my ray opening and what type of angle do I have. Okay, so I think maybe we should just do one more just to be sure. So, and this one I'll kind of go a little slower and pause for a second so you can kind of come up with the answer before I just give it away. So here we have another angle and it's nice and open. So this is definitely an obtuse angle. So I'm going to write obtuse. Okay, so that means that it's going to be greater than 90 degrees, less than 180. So now let's find 0. Which 0 am I going to use? If I use the left one or do I use the right one? Obviously, we're going to start at the left one. Good. Let's start counting up by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. I'm going to stop at 120 because if I go to 130, that's going to be too far. So I'm at 120. There's a halfway point. That's going to be 125. I know you guys can't hear me. I can't hear you. I'm recording this way before Monday, but hopefully you're with me. And now I have to think it's after 125, but before 130. So what is a reasonable estimate? Think in your head. You got it yet? Okay. 127 is fair. And I would even say 128. So if that is what you were thinking in your head, good job. All right. So what your directions are now is I want you to finish this worksheet at home. Just write your answers on a sheet of paper. Make sure you include, is it obtuse, is it acute, or is it right? And then what is your estimate? All right, good luck, boys and girls.